Yeah. All right. Well, hi everyone. I'm glad you could all make it. So yeah, I'm just going to be doing like general harmonica Q&A today. So if anyone has any questions about anything harmonica related, just music related, or maybe to do with my tunings or anything like that, I'd be happy to answer them. So does anyone have any questions to kick us off?
I've got a few to kick off until they
Okay.
come flooding in. So you have a new minor tuning, don't you, Will?
Yeah.
I just wondering if you could just run through why you've feel as though you need a different tuning, and sort of how it differs from like the natural minor and harmonic minor sort of alternatives for minor playing.
Yeah, sure. So going back to before I had the original Wilde tuning, the three tunings that I used to use were obviously Richter, natural minor, and sometimes country as well. I do play in several different positions, but I like to play in second most of the time, like the majority of people do. I think for blues and rock especially, second position is king generally. It usually sounds the best with the notes laid out that way. So I developed the Wilde tuning to give me all the stuff that we will do in second. All that kind of familiar bluesy second position stuff, but at the top end as well. So kind of like Brendan Power's power bender and power draw tunings, all of the draw notes bend. So over time, the Wilde tuning pretty much replaced Richter tuning for me. I do still use Richter sometimes if I'm playing like old school kind of blues, but for my stuff, I generally use Wilde tuning. So I started to want a natural minor version of it, because I like having the ability of playing minor chords that natural minor tuning gives you. So, and it means you've got your minor third without having to bend to get it. Obviously bending to get it isn't a problem, but you get a different sound when you have a note as a natural draw note. You get a much purer sound and you can be more subtle with it than if you're having a bend to get it. And it gives you the minor sixth in second position. So this new Wilde minor tuning is really just a natural minor version of the Wilde tuning. So it's designed with second position playing in mind, and all the third and sixth degrees of the scale are flattened when you're playing in second. So you get a complete natural minor scale. You can also get a harmonic minor scale, because you can get a major seventh as a half step bend. For that sort of like Middle Eastern kind of sound. And and all of the draw notes bend. Your root and your fifth always land on a bendable draw, so you can put loads of vibrato on them, no matter which octave you're in. Any other questions on that?
Tony asks, how does it affect overblows, the tuning?
Well, you don't really need them, because you're probably going to be using it to play something minor, minor tuning, and you've got your complete minor scale, and a complete harmonic minor scale without needing to overblow. You can still overblow on every hole if you want to. So yeah, but I don't really use them on this tuning. You can get Dorian too, because you can still get a major sixth as a bend in hole 5. Yeah.
Okay, is there any other questions on the minor tuning? We can always come back to it. Okay, we've got a first question in the chat from Gary. Who are your biggest non-harmonica influences? I guess musical.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so varied. I mean, I assume you mean like non-harmonica influences on my harmonica playing, as opposed to like writing and everything else. I'd say a lot of blues guitarists, like older guys like Buddy Guy, Muddy Waters, Peter Green's big influence, and Danny Kerwin from Fleetwood Mac, Paul Kossoff from Free, Slash from Guns N' Roses, Angus Young from AC/DC. It's not so much that I've like sat down and worked out their licks on the harp. It's more just kind of just being fans of those bands and listening to it a lot, and trying to sort of channel that. I was thinking of Slash. That's kind of something that Slash sort of does a lot on guitar. Just trying to channel their intensity, really. Like most of the rock players I listen to are all from a blues background. Robbo from Thin Lizzy is another one. Gary Moore, of course. Just intense bluesy rock players. Danny Giles, who used to play guitar in my band as well, he's been a big influence on my playing, as a fellow soloist. Some sax players as well. I like some kind of like cheesy sax stuff, guys like Kenny G, even Candy Dolfer. I think she's amazing. Maceo Parker. So yeah, mainly guitarists and sax players, I'd say, and singers too.
Brilliant. Gary, who's asked the question, says, I really get that. I play a lot of Depeche Mode on harp, so
all right.
Cool. Perhaps that's a direction you might want to. Okay, let's see what we've got. Russ. Okay, so this is regarding the Wilde tuning. How do you overcome in your brain the 2 holes 5 and 6 blow when playing run licks up and down?
All right. So 5 and 6 blow are obviously the same note on Wilde tuning. They're both a major 6th on the standard one, and they're both a minor 6th on the minor one. The reason that they're like that, first of all, is because I wanted to keep holes 1 to 5 completely the same as standard, because I like all the stuff that we do in holes 1 to 5. I don't want to change any of that. And then I wanted hole 6 to behave exactly like hole 2, which means putting the root note in the draw, and I wanted it to bend a full tone, so you get a good good solid whole step bend in that drill 6. So I had to set the blow reed as a major 6th there as well. So you get that repeat note. It depends on the run I'm playing. If I'm if I'm just doing stuff in holes 1 to 5, then obviously I use the blow 5, that kind of stuff. If I'm playing like major pentatonic kind of stuff in 2nd, so I just had to play a bit to think about what I actually do. If I was doing a run up from 2 to 6 on the major pentatonic, then I just leave out hole 5 completely, and just jump over it and use blow 6. And same coming back down. But for certain licks, you know, if it's just easier to use the 5 blow, I'll use that. The best way is just to think about it all in terms of whole numbers. So I would say think of it as holes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 2, 10.
Yeah, I've got the pattern in. I've got the pattern in my head. It's just when you do effortlessly run down in a pentatonic scale from the wild tuning in the upper octave to the wild tuning in the bottom, especially on going in circles. There's a lovely little run down that you do, but it seems seamless in your brain or the way that you play it. But when I try and play it, I'm confused about which one to land on.
Oh, well, that's minor, that song. So that's the minor pentatonic.
Oh, sorry, the major minor pentatonic in that one. Yeah.
So let me so. There's no blow 5 or 6 there, really, is it?
Yeah, it's just dive. I suppose it's an accuracy thing that I'm not used to.
Right. Yeah.
You know, my brain says 2, 3, and 4 are the same as 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to jump straight to. You know, when I do the and then you do the upper octave. I'm always landing on the wrong bloody note.
Okay, yeah.
Like the 5 instead of the 6. So
it can be good just to practice.
I guess it's just accuracy.
Octave, so. Yeah, I'm messing that up.
It's just something I noticed in my playing because I've been playing Richter for like God knows how long.
Yeah.
And it's a complete brain. It's a keep brain. You know, you've got to re-educate your brain.
Yeah, it's just
to play without thinking. You know, get to that stage where it's internal. You know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am.
Got new muscle memory.
Yeah, so I guess it's an accuracy thing. All right, cheers. Yeah, sorry to take too much time up.
That's all right.
Oh, no worries. This next question, I'm not sure if I should ask it because we could probably be here till about 9 o'clock tonight.
I'll try and be quick.
Any insights into amplified playing as regards mics, pedals, and amps?
Yeah. It all depends what sound you want for a start. But I mean, generally speaking, if I'm assuming you want like a kind of typical blues, Chicago blues sound, any high impedance mic that's got a strong output on it is going to work. I've always preferred stick mics as opposed to bullets, just more comfortable for me. Like different mics are going to color the sound differently. Just got to find what works for you. And some mics going to have much stronger outputs than others, which is going to drive the amp more and give you more breakup and distortion. But I find really, as far as amps, like any of the old Fenders, they don't even have to be old. These are reissues. Pretty much any of the Fender amps are pretty good. You know, I've got Vibrolux reverb and a super reverb there. I've got basement here as well. You know, they all sound pretty similar. I like 10-inch speakers best, and 12s aren't so good for harp. 8s are nice too. The smaller ones, you get kind of the mids are a bit punchier, and you get a speaker breakup and distortion a bit earlier on, volume wise. I think a lot of people make the mistake of getting too big and too powerful an amp, you know. Like this Bassman here, which a lot of people like for harp. I never use it because you just can't turn it up anywhere. I played festival stages with it and they've told me to turn it down straight away. But you know, if you're going for like the little water or big water sound, then that's not what they were using. They weren't using big, powerful amps. They were using little amps that weren't very powerful, so they would crank them, and that breakup that you get is basically the speaker struggling to cope with what's been put through it. So it's a video I put out last weekend. I call it like a tribute to Little Water and Big Water, and the amp I used on that, if I turn this around, you'll see it, is this. It's just a extension speaker from an old turntable. I bought it for 50 quid from like a charity shop, and it's got a little oval speaker in it. You can kind of see the shadow where it is. But that's like the closest thing I've ever got to that sound. Yeah, it's a 7-watt valve amp with a small oval speaker. So yeah, if you certainly for studio, a little amp and just crank it, that's the way to go. And then live, go a bit bigger, a bit more powerful, but not so big that you can't turn it up enough. And then for the sort of rock sound that I use, that's completely different. I use just an SM58 for that, which is a standard vocal mic, low impedance, and I go into either a Marshall or a Mesa. Been using a Mesa Boogie Mark IV on the latest album that we're making. So with that, you know, it's a much lesser output from the mic, but you've got high gain amp, so you get all the drive from the gain on the amp. And then for pedals, I don't really use many pedals. Just reverb and delay really are the only effects I use. Sometimes I'll put like an overdrive in if I'm going through like a Fender amp and I want the rock sound. But even then, I usually just use my wireless. Just turn up the output on the wireless to push the front end of the amp a little bit more.
Okay, brilliant. That's good. Very brief answer. But, but there's a lot in there for us to take away. Just picking on something you said. You're saying the harmonica player was told to turn down. It wasn't by a guitarist by any chance, was it?
Oh no, it's always down, man. Especially in Germany. I don't know why that is, but yeah, German soundmen don't like a lot of noise. They want it to sound like a stereo. You know?
Yes. I think the first time I saw you actually was at it's Big Azza's event in Wickham, is it?
Oh yeah.
And I remember when you set up, and I think you had your bass, was it the Fender Bassman there? I think it was.
I might have been using that then, yeah.
And it was I think my ears rang for sort of a few weeks after that.
Right.
But you sounded great, so.
Yeah, we were probably a bit too loud for that room. You know.
Well,
a rock band has to be a certain volume. because you can only play rock drums, you know, at a certain dynamic, and then the rest of the band has to come up to that level. So, yeah.
That's an achievement, that, to be told to turn down though. So, let's have another look here. We've got Russ again. What do you prefer when making a studio recording? I mic up an amp into an interface into Garageband, or do you prefer to use Garageband effects? What is your chain into your PC? There's quite a lot in there.
I use Logic rather than GarageBand, but if just for YouTube videos and think just sort of YouTube content stuff, a lot of the jams I do on there are well, I'm just on this condenser here if it's like an acoustic sound, or if I'm going for the electric sounds, I'll just use like amp models in Logic, which are, you know, they're fine, totally fine. Most people wouldn't know, you know. I've done recording sessions with with software amps, and no one's never said anything about it, you know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get into recording, and I'm finding it a bit of a struggle because it's overwhelming a little bit. The first thing I'm trying to do is trying to copy or trying to get close to how you sound. And it, you know, it's a bit of a minefield. Do I use an echo into the interface and stuff? You know, so I'm just trying to find out the best way.
So, you know, if I'm using a software amp inside Logic or GarageBand or whatever, then I'd just use the 58 low impedance straight into the interface, and then, you know, choose an amp that sounds good.
Do you do much mastering after you've got the sound you want?
I don't know how to master. Really.
Do you think Logic's better than GarageBand? Do you?
It's industry standard, whereas GarageBand's like,
yeah.
I mean, GarageBand's really is just a simpler version of Logic, so it's fine, you know.
Is it like every software that you buy, you only use 10% of it?
Yeah, Logic, you know, you can make a record on Logic. It's got, you know, it's all there. But so yeah, if I'm recording just straight into Logic, I just go into the interface, use a, you know, software amp, and add a bit of delay and reverb either on the pedal board, you know, virtual pedal board. Or
your recordings are quite a setup. You know, they're a sound above everything else that you hear out there. So there's some heavy work gone into it. That's what I'm trying to get at, really. So
honestly, I don't know a lot about it. It's just fiddle around with stuff. But I'd never mix that. I'd never, you know, produce my own record like that. I only use that for YouTube content. But on the actual record, I'd always use a real amp. I say that I used an Acoustics, Fractal Audio Acoustics on the last.
Yeah, the Mark thingy one, isn't it?
Yeah, but the latest one I've been using the Mesa and micing it up. So with that, if you put like a 57 or something like this, up against the grill of the amp, you get like the close mic sound. And I put a condenser like this, feet back to get more ambient room sound, and then just sort of pan them left and right a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
It's a whole new thing that is.
Well, yeah, it takes a while to get used to. It's a lot to
take in. Yeah, thanks for that. Cheers.
So here's a thought for you, Will. You should develop your own software for GarageBand, so everyone can sound like you rather than using the amps on there. So
right, yeah.
Let's have a look. Tony asks, what feedback killer pedal do you use, or sorry, do you recommend?
I've gone back to using the Kinder anti-feedback plus, which is like the holy grail, one that everyone wants, and the guys stopped making them, so now they go for like 500 quid or something on marketplace, and people keep trying to buy my one off me, and I'm not going to sell it. I did stop using it for a while because it's a bit of a pain in the ass, because there's no power supply on it. And it takes 2 9-volt batteries, and there's no way of knowing when the batteries have degraded enough that it's starting to affect your tone, until one day you think my tone sounds like shit, and then you change the batteries and suddenly it's like completely different sound. So I stopped using it because I didn't like the idea that, you know, over the course of a tour, my tone was gradually getting thinner and thinner as the batteries wore down. And I didn't want to start buying 2 new 9-volts every night. So I switched to the Harp Shield for a bit, which has a, you know, power supply on it. And the Harp Shield's good, but it works in a different way. The Harp Shield is just a noise gate, basically. So if you've got a really loud band, and you turn the Harp Shield right up for maximum anti-feedback, and then you try and like ease in subtly on a note, you'll just get nothing until you reach a certain volume, and then the note will suddenly, you know, switch on. So I went back to the Kinder because of that. But my plan is eventually, I think, is to go back to using my Acoustics Live, which, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, Fractal Audio Acoustics is like a rack mount digital unit that it models just about any amp you could think of, all of the Fenders, all the Marshalls, a load of boutique amps, everything. And it models them properly. It's not like a little Line 6 Pong or something like that, you know. It really does sound and respond like the real amp. So I'm thinking about going back to using that live, so there'll be no harp coming out anywhere on the stage, and just have in-ear monitors, so I can monitor from that. It'll be in the front of house, and there's no chance of any feedback then. Yeah.
Okay. These are comments really from Janice from the States, and Gary saying that they both enjoy the duos that you've done on YouTube. The one I've seen is with Rochelle. Is there anything you can say about that? I don't think there's a particular question here, but
well, thanks. Glad you enjoyed them. They were a lot of fun. The first one I did was with Elin Öberg from a Swedish band called Among Links, and I played a festival that they were playing at, and really liked the band. So we sort of stayed in touch on Instagram, and then when the first lockdown happened, we thought we'd just do a remote thing, like collaboration thing. So we sort of passed some ideas back and forth, and kind of wrote this instrumental track like that, you know. I'd recorded some stuff and sent it over, and she'd record some stuff and send it back. So the result was pretty cool. So I did another one with Brendan Power and Rolly Platt, and then the one with Rochelle and one with Sarah Saputri. I probably will do some more at some point. I don't know who to do them with. I wanted to do one with Indiara. She's been quite busy, but she did say we would. I think Jason Ritchie could be good to do one with. I did mention it to him. There are a few people I approached to do it that weren't up for it, unfortunately, but yeah, not much I can do about that.
Okay. Tony, a couple of Tony says he uses a Harp Shield, good for his level in pub gigs.
Sure.
But his question is, when playing acoustic, so not holding the mic, what mic do you use? And what settings on the PA? I'm presuming that's...
Quite honestly, yeah, just whatever's there. Usually it'll be a 58 like this, or something similar. I mean, if it might be a good idea if you do a lot of that kind of acoustic playing to A/B a few different mics and find what sounds best. But it's going to change every night anyway, depending on the sound system and the room and the sound man. So I don't know. I usually just go with what's there because that's what that sound man's used to dealing with, and hopefully they know like how to EQ it and stuff so it sounds good. So yeah, I just use the vocal mic.
Okay, this is one of the questions that I thought about beforehand. It's just give us some insight into becoming an endorser. Who approaches who? So how does the whole process work? Seidel, Hoda, Kongsheng, all like sort of
right
bidding for you, or how's it all work?
Well, I'm sure it can work both ways around. When I first got endorsed with Seidel, I approached them because I wasn't very well known at the time, and I think Seidel were pretty new at that point. I hadn't actually heard of them, and I was playing a mixture of Honors and the Oscars at the time, and did a gig supporting Charlie Musselwhite when he was in the UK. And Charlie gave me Rupert Oisler's business card, who's like the head of Seidel USA, and said, "Oh, you should contact him and check these harps out because Charlie was playing them." So I did, and then Rupert put me in touch with Lars in Germany, and I've been playing Seidel ever since. So for me, it was contacting them. I think obviously, they probably approached Charlie, I would imagine, initially, being a new company at the time, or an old company that was sort of redeveloped or whatever. So I'm sure it must happen that some of the bigger artists get approached by the company. I don't know. I've been approached by a few of the Chinese companies in the last couple of years and been sent harps to try out. And they haven't been enough to sway me. They make some nice harps, like the Kongsheng, I forget the name of the model, but the Kongsheng that I played was really, really nice, played really good, it sounded great. But then several notes went out of tune on it very quickly. So, for me, it's got to be steel reeds now. And Seidel are the only people that make them. So, yeah.
Okay,
that's all I was going to say.
It's just I've always thought, I wonder how that works. And I think Rochelle's with Honer, isn't she?
Honer.
Yeah, so
yeah, the main thing is they want to see. Obviously, there has to be something in it for both people. So the Honer or Seidel or whoever want to see that you've got dates. They want to see that you're touring or that you've got a big online following, YouTube subscribers or Instagram subscribers or whatever.
And are they strict that you have to use Seidel harmonicas all the time, or could you slip in a bit of a cheeky Honer? Or
yeah, I mean, there was a contract. I haven't looked at it in a long time because I don't play anything else anyway. So, but I think you have to play majority Seidel harps, and I felt bad when I first signed with them, because I didn't replace all of my harps straight away. And there was one song in the set at the time where I used to do like a walk around in the audience on a natural minor harp, and I was still using a Lee Oscar for that because I didn't have a Seidel in natural minor tune. So I still got it here. And so because I'd be doing the walk around, that was the only song where people would be taking photos where you could see the front of the harp. And I was thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but they never said anything. So
I think you did that at in Wickham.
probably
The walking round, yeah.
I do it quite a lot.
Yeah. There's a quite. I'll come to Russ's question a bit later on if that's okay, Russ. Yeah, this is it's about combs really, and it's something I'd find interesting. Tony asks, Zidal, wooden or metal combs, or even just the plastic, the standard plastic. And the thing that I sort of notice is the width of the holes. Personally, I prefer like on the 1847 silvers that are quite narrow, and I've got a couple of those lightnings. I just cannot get on with them at all.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say stuff like that about the hole sizes. I've honestly never noticed the difference moving from one harp to another. And I've got ones by from all different brands and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I think just go with whatever you're most comfortable with. I had all my like A, B, C, D in plastic combs, which are white on the Zidal, and then it's not so white anymore. It's it got dirty, but yeah, all the straight keys in the white plastic comb, and then all the black keys of the piano, so like A flat, B flat in wood, just because it looks like a piano. But I've never been able to say which I prefer, to be quite honest. You know, like there's I don't know if I got two different ones to compare, but that's a B flat with a wood comb. That's a B with a plastic comb. I mean, other than the fact that one's a semitone higher than the other, I honestly can't hear a difference at all in tone. I think maybe the plastic is a little bit brighter, but I think that's just my logical brain telling me that plastic probably sounds a bit brighter than wood. I'm not sure it actually does, you know. Metal combs, I maybe there's a little bit more difference. Like that's a metal compared to a plastic in the same key. I can't hear a difference. I don't know if you can, but so you know, whatever you're comfortable with. But I messed around with some custom combs for a little while, and after a while, I just thought this is just waste of time. Because sometimes it'd make the harp worse. You know, sometimes you could have a good harp, take it apart and put it back together again, and it doesn't play as well as it did before. So if something's working, I just leave it alone. You know.
Okay, there's something that we touched on before the session started. Callum, did I hear you are working on a new album? And can you tell us some more about this, please?
Yeah. So I've been working on this album for like 2 years now. Something. It's like you were saying earlier before everyone joined about Ozzy breaking his neck and then COVID and someone else. I've been a bit like that. I broke my neck and then so yeah, I had to stop recording for quite a few months, and then COVID happened. So yeah, so I've decided basically the new album, which is finished actually, it is finished now. I'm gonna be putting it out as under a different name. So it's not going to be a Will Wilde album. It's going to be a new band. The band is called Bad Luck Friday, and the first single and video will be out as soon as possible. The video's made, songs, you know, mixed and mastered and everything, but we need to get all the promotion plan and everything in place before we release it. and I've been holding off on that somewhat because of COVID and everything being so uncertain. Didn't seem like a very good time to release when you don't know when you're going to be able to go and tour. So so the band's called Bad Luck Friday, and it's a hard rock band, really, which is why I chose to make it a new project, because I don't want people to have a shock when they go and look up the old stuff and find out it's nothing like the new stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be probably a different. We're going into a different area, more for the rock crowd and circuit, those kind of venues than the blues crowd. But I think that the blues crowd will, some of them at least, will still like it, because it's obviously got a lot of blues influence in there. Whatever I do is going to be bluesy to a degree, being a harp player. So
yeah, it's definitely pushing the barriers, isn't it? Because it's something we haven't heard before. A sort of a harmonica player fronting a heavy rock band. So
yeah. I mean, I was talking about this with someone the other day. I think probably Blues Traveler and John Popper's the closest thing, in terms of the idea of it. It's the closest thing to what I'm doing. We don't sound anything like Blues Traveler, but a rock band with lead harmonica, and the only time that's happened before is really like 70s rock bands where Deep Purple or Zeppelin or something, where the singer plays a bit of harmonica in a couple of songs or whatever. But, yeah,
of course, Ozzy played a bit, didn't he, as well?
Yeah,
and he's got his own harmonica as well.
Yeah, right. I kind of want one of those, actually. Little coffin box.
In the coffin. Yeah. Russ has asked a question here. I just wonder if you want to ask it, Russ, rather than me trying to read it out, about the.
Okay. Yeah, it's just it's probably a bit deep for everybody else, but because I'm a fairly deep thinker. When you're learning a new song, like Going in Circles, for example, or that Bonnie Raitt song that you did.
Yeah.
When you're trying to put your harp down, do you follow the vocal lines of the song in order to establish it, and then build on it yourself, or do you just play, because you're such a good player? Do you just play what feels right and build on that, work it up your solos?
It's kind of half and half. So with something like that, where you're taking a song that is something that is a vocal melody and then make it into an instrumental, I think it's good to learn it first, exactly the way it's sung. And what you'll probably find when you do that is certain phrases just don't work very well on harp, because obviously a singer can bend any note at all, and we can only bend certain notes. So some phrases end up sounding a bit wooden, or just a bit, a bit crap on harmonica, So I try and harmonica it after I've learnt the original melody, and then I'd say, like, as a general guide, maybe start off first verse more or less as it is on the original, maybe a couple of little embellishments or changing things. You can have less notes than them, because we're not singing words, we're just playing the melody. So if something's very wordy, don't feel like you've got to play a beat or a note for every syllable. You know what I mean? So just little things like that. And then second verse, maybe step it up a little bit. So start to embellish slightly more, improvise around the melody a bit more. And then maybe in the next verse or next section of the song, always trying to have one section where you do just go off and it is more free form, I think.
Yeah, I've noticed that pattern, that you play the first verse straight, second you sort of like maybe drag a phrase or play it a little bit longer than the vocal setting, and then the third verse you'll go into the upper octave, and then finish on, you know, crescendoing the song out, kind of thing, up the top of the wild tuning. So it's interesting. It's just an interesting thing that I've trying to compare your harp playing with the vocal lines and things, just to see where your brain's doing it, because I'm trying to do it, you know.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to unlock that little secret, really.
Cool. But that kind of thing is something I got from a couple of the sax players I mentioned earlier. Candy Dolfer is really good at that, especially. So check out some first stuff. She did a version of the Bonnie Raitt song, actually.
You want to chuck that in the chat so I can get the right spelling?
Yes, Candy with a C, and Dolfer is Dulfer.
Okay. There's we're out of questions on the chat. So if there are any other questions, you know, please put them in. I'm right in thinking you're doing the Harmonica Festival next month. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. You are. So, talking about collaborations, how do you feel about being on the same bill as Howard Levy?
Oh, that's all right.
You all right with that? Yeah.
Yeah. He was at Spa when I was at Spa as well. I watched one of his masterclasses, and it's very inspirational. You know, it was too much. Some of it, after a while, it's just like your brain fries watching him give a masterclass. But I like anyone that explores new possibilities with the instrument stuff. You know, obviously his style is very different to mine. He's a big overblow player. But I think, you know, you can always take something from players like that you can put into your own playing. Yeah,
I mean, because his stuff with Bella Fleck and the Fleck tones. I mean, I definitely recommend listening to some of that stuff. And it's also the bassist Victor Watten. He's one of my favorite bass players. You know, and if you ever watch an instruction video with Victor, he always starts off by saying, "Oh, this is so easy," and then it's like tapping and all sorts. You know,
right.
But he's a tremendous bass player. We got another question in. What do you intend to do at the festival?
I don't know yet. I think I'll probably do like a duo set with guitarist, maybe combined with a bit of teaching or something as well. But yeah, I'd like to just do a set, really, and having a whole band over Zoom isn't gonna work, I don't think so.
You can always refer everyone back to this Q&A, can't you? So
yeah.
Bit of sibling rivalry here, Will. I hate to break this to you, but your sister Danny, you say country and blues guitarist and singer?
Country, country, soul, blues.
Are you aware that she's got a wiki page?
I have.
And you haven't.
Yeah. I haven't. No, I'm probably gonna get one. I don't really know how you go about getting one, but I get this band launched first.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to add to it, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, I'm just thinking sibling rivalry. You know. So have we got any other questions? Stunned silence.
I don't have a question, Sam. So just like to thank Will for a great session.
Oh, no.
I used to do a blues program over here in Ireland years ago, and I used to play Danny, actually.
Cool.
I had one of her albums. I never made a connection between yourselves until
right.
during the HarmonicaUK session. So It's great. I must stick out that CD that I had that she made years ago.
Do you know what one it was?
I can't remember the name, but I used to have so many of them. You'd never remember
Right, yeah.
all the different.
I'm probably on it.
Yeah, I'll get it out.
I'm on
But
both.
it was great to hear you talk about just use what you have and what you like, you know. If you have an SM58 microphone, you like it, use it, you know, and then different types of harmonicas, if it works, just play it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, you know, get into so many different things and pedals and all sorts of stuff that forget the practice, the harmonic itself.
That's the thing. I've got a harp here. Oops. But it's one of the ones that I learned on. I don't know if you can put it better from here. Right. It's called an Axel folk blues made in China. And it says the super sound from Superpower Harmonica.
Yeah.
And I think I paid like £3 for it, probably about 15 years ago when I was learning. But it's like, you know, it's pretty quiet and it's quite, you know, what you call airy, but you can do everything on it. It overblows. It's fine. You know, you don't need expensive gear, or you don't really. That's all you need. But yeah, if you can't do something on this, you're not going to be able to do it on something else. That's the way I look at it. So yeah, gear and stuff is nice, and it will give an edge to your playing. But it's like the icing on the cake. I think the main thing is just playing and practicing.
A couple of messages in there. Right, another one from Russ. What was the music you were forced to listen to? Is that right, Russ? When growing up, and did it influence the 70s rock direction you are going in today?
Yeah, forced to listen to. So, a lot of Van Morrison, a bit of Bob Dylan, a lot of Paul Weller, a lot of old soul, like Stax, Motown, Atlantic, a lot of chess blues, so like Howlin' Wolf, John Lee Hooker, and Muddy Waters, you know, Sonny Boy. Those are the main people really that my dad had listened to growing up all the time. Oh, and a lot of Free as well. Free and Humble Pie and the Faces are the more sort of 70s rock kind of things he played. And I still like pretty much all of that stuff, actually. But yeah, you know, it all goes in there. You know, I think it's, I teach a couple of kids and stuff, and I hear parents sort of asking me to try and get them more into music or whatever. It's like, well, they'll find it, you know, for themselves as long as they hear it. It's like the best thing you could do to teach your kid music is just play loads of music in the house, because it all goes in. And if they're naturally musically inclined and interested, at some point they'll pick it up, you know. So
do you think that the 70s R&B and soul, the 70s vibe generally is your main influence? Because I'm 62 almost, and I was a 70s child, and you're a lot younger than me, but you've got an old head for music on your shoulders. That's kind of where I'm getting to, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's my main influence, but it's a big one. Sort of, I've got a lot of vinyl that's like old 50s through the 70s soul and blues. And then, yeah, some 70s rock, like, you know, mainly Free, Zeppelin, Skinner, stuff like that. AC/DC, big one. But I don't know. I love a lot of 90s and 1000s rock that I grew up with, and even like some sort of like new metal stuff, like bands like Linkin Park and Marilyn Manson and stuff like that. And I'd say they're probably as big an influence on me as any of the other stuff. I mean, that's probably not obvious in my harmonica playing because none of those things have harmonica in. But the sort of aggression and the intensity, I think a lot comes from that. And the new band that I'm working on now does encapsulate that as well, you know. So yeah, it all influenced me. But I think the 70s rock coming from, because as a harmonica player, I kind of had to start with blues, really, you know. And then when you want to get a bit more rock with blues, you just get like 70s rock, really. And then kind of that, if you start making it more kind of chorus-based songs and stuff rather than 12 bars, you get the kind of classic rock thing, AC/DC kind of thing or whatever. But yeah, with this new band, I'm trying to do something that's more contemporary rock, but still with harmonica solos in it.
Okay, I'm not sure if I should ask this question, but if you can feel free to say no comment.
Right.
As you mentioned Dylan, do you feel he's a good harp player?
Well, he's not good as in like, you know, technically good, is he? But it's a certain sound that works in a certain style of music. And I've done sessions where that's the sound they want, you know. I've asked the client, can you send me some recordings by other artists that just give me an idea of what you're looking for, and it comes through and it's like okay. You know, and it does work if it's a song where they want that sort of 60s pop kind of vibe. And if I were to let my ego get in the way and give them like a kind of thing, they'd be like, what's that? You know, it's not what I asked for. So I've got big respect for Dylan, obviously, as a writer. I don't mind his harmonica playing for his stuff, but it is unfortunate, isn't it, that probably the most famous household name harmonica players are Bob Dylan, Neil Young. So you tell someone you play harmonica and that's not, you know, massively into music or into blues, that's the first thing that comes to their mind, you know. And then you feel like you got to explain yourself a bit.
Yes. Can you do any Bob Dylan? I think it's the
yeah, right.
big question you go. Well, actually, I had a tremolo when I was about 3, but I used to listen to Donovan.
Oh, right.
Not Jason Donovan.
No, I know.
Just hasten to add. And a lot of things was similar to Dylan, and that got me going, really, just because playing guitar and just, you know, there's no YouTube in those days. It was just you know, a guitar with really bad action, you know, and a rack and everything, and got Lee Oscar, and, you know, just great to play around with, you know. So it's a good place to start, I think. Certainly just to get that harmonic sound with what works with, you know, what I suppose it's chord playing, really, isn't it? You're playing chords rather than single notes, you know.
Whether intentionally or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it doesn't sound right drawing, then just blow.
Yeah. But you know, those sessions where that's the sound that they wanted, I probably spent more time on those than anything else, because it's like trying to get that kind of bad, uneducated, like unsophisticated sound, and trying to throw all your technique out the window, but while still making it musical and fit with the track, is actually quite hard to do, you know.
Yeah, the only reason I was asking is you've got a publication called The Harp Stars of Bob Dylan. It does look quite complicated, a lot of tongue blocking involved. I'm just wondering, you know, what your thoughts are on when he uses what seems to be tongue blocking.
I doubt he ever tongue blocked anything, to be quite honest.
Well, in the publication, it looks like he's tongue blocking, but maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe I've never like sort of watched his embouchure when he played. I'll have to have a look. But
Right. Okay.
it doesn't sound to me like he did. Anyway.
I was just going to say, maybe the way Dylan plays, maybe that's why there's not such an interest in harmonica nowadays. They figured that's all there is.
Yeah, probably doesn't help. I think it's one of those things because it's a diatonic instrument, and you can get away with just doing, random moving around, blowing in and out, and it's all in key. You get a lot of people who will call themselves a harmonica player and will get up and do that. And it's like, you wouldn't do that with any other instrument, would you? Like, get a piano, randomly hit keys in time with the music. You know what I mean? So I think that's why we get a bad rap.
Okay, folks, should we leave it there then?